Okay, thank you. With the executive meeting, I move the adoption for the agenda. Motion to adopt the agenda. Motion to adopt.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So passes. Thank you. I think we're gonna move directly into executive session now. I need a motion for that. Can I have a motion to move into executive session?
Yes, I make a move that we move into executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Yeah. Motion to adjourn from executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
At this point, we're going to have a discussion and consideration of possible vote on the items from the executive session. Ms. Bowles?
Yes, so at this point, in the executive session, we discussed, the contract for the purchase of a piece of property, and the town manager presented a recommendation to the council to approve a contract for purchase of property known as the Virgin property. And at this point, the town was presented with a contract for that property. That property is known as Sussex County Tax Map Identification Number 134-17.00-30.00 and 30.02, which is subsequently combined 30.00. And at this point, the council can have discussion, and if they wish to proceed, we'll need the appropriate motion.
We can do, Yeah.
Okay, just a summary of what was discussed in the executive session. The town has been for approximately 8 months negotiating with property owner at the corner of Muddy Neck Road and Double Bridges Road for a 4-acre property that runs along, that the Asselwood Trail actually runs along. We have settled on a asking price after having it appraised of $500,000. The Burson family who owns the property have signed the agreement that has been reviewed by our town solicitor. And recommendation is being made to mayor and council to purchase this property with the intent to develop it as a natural park area for the community. And the use of the funds to purchase it would be one-time funds from the sources of our ARPA funding, $211,747, and Sussex County excess transfer tax grant funds of $288,253. It's our recommendation that mayor and council authorize myself, the town manager, to enter into this agreement of sale with the Burson Family Trust.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion from members of the council?
No.
If not, then I need a motion to accept the purchase of the open space Burson property parcel number 134-17.00-30.00.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we authorize the purchase of this property and empower Carol to go ahead and execute the contracts.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So passes. Thank you. At this point, I'd like to adjourn the meeting, so I need a motion to adjourn the executive meeting.
Motion to adjourn the executive meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So passes. Thank you. Now we will call the regular town council meeting to order. If I could have everyone stand up and say the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, All right, thank you very much. I think the first order of business is a public hearing on the second reading of an ordinance amending chapter 13, article 2 of the Ocean View Code relating to the description of election voting districts within the boundaries of the town of Ocean View. We had discussed this at the last town meeting. And we are being asked to amend the voting districts as a result of the 2020 census. Is there any further questions or comments from the town council? All right, at this point, I would open up to the public if there's anyone that has a question and wants to make a comment with regard to the change in voting district boundaries. You may ask it now. If not, then I need a motion to approve the ordinance amending chapter 13, article 2 of the Ocean View Code relating to election voting districts within the boundaries of the town of Ocean View. Motion to amend the voting districts within the town of Ocean View based on the 2020 census. Wait a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So passes. Thank you. I need a motion to adopt the agenda for tonight's meeting, this afternoon's meeting.
Make a motion, Mr. Mayor, to adopt the agenda for tonight's meeting.
Wait a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So passes. I need a motion to approve the regular minutes from the July 12, 2022 regular town council meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes for the July 12, 2020 meeting.
Wait a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So passes. I need a motion to approve the executive minutes from June 14, 2022 meeting. Motion to approve the executive minutes from June 14, 2022.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So passes. Okay. Moving on to communications and presentations, audit results for fiscal year 2022. By who's going to do this?
Yes.
I didn't recognize you in the back. Okay, I'm sorry. I was wondering if you're sitting back there.
Perfect. Thank you for having us here today. We appreciate your time and every bit of help with the audit. We really do appreciate it. You should have 3 packets in front of you. You'll see one, which is your colored packet, which should be on top, a thicker bounds copy, as well as an item that is stapled in front of you. I'm going to entirely focus just through our summary presentation so that you don't have to flip through tens and tens of pages during the presentation. So we'll really just focus right on that packet. Again, thank you for having us. I want to, before we begin the presentation and talking about the numbers, I do want to make sure that we thank everyone involved in the audit. Dawn has been wonderful, Shawanda, Carol, everyone, super huge help. An audit is not a fun process. Nobody truly enjoys an audit, but they answer all our requests with a smile and are extremely fast in providing us all the information we need. So we really do appreciate all your help. With me today, I have Alyssa Wilcox, who is our manager on the job, and I'm Ashley Stern. I'm a partner with PKS and Company and in charge of the audit. On pages 1 through 3, next page. Sorry. On pages 1 through 3 of the financial statements, you'll find our report on the financial statements, our auditor's report. Right at the top of page 1, you'll find our opinion. This is really why you are getting an audit. This is what you're seeking when you're having a public accountant come in for the audit. We're happy to state that we've issued an unmodified, previously known as unqualified opinion on the audit. And this is the highest level of opinion that a public accountant can issue for an audit. It's very good news for the town. There is a second report within the financial statements. It can be found on pages 50 through 51, just for reference. And this is our report on internal controls over financial reporting and on compliance and other matters. In this report would be where if If we had any issues with any non-compliance, any issues with fraud, major issues with your internal controls, this is where you'd be hearing about those items. I'm happy to state that we did not identify any material weaknesses in your internal controls, and we didn't identify any instances of non-compliance that would need to be reported in this report. Again, a good report. Next page. Taking a look at your statement of net position, just as a reminder, in the financial statements, there's actually two sets of financial statements within your financial statements. We have our government-wide financial statements, which is really on the basis of accounting that every business is on. So when you're thinking about Starbucks and thinking about the town, it's the same basis of accounting. And then we have our fund financial statements, which is more on a modified accrual basis and also in the same basis that your budget is on, so same basis of accounting from that point. We're going to focus on your government-wide financial statements first. Taking a look at your financial statements, you actually have two types of activities. You have your governmental, which is your general fund activities with police grants, et cetera. And then you have your business type activities, which is your water fund. Overall, we saw an increase in our assets of just over $2 million. And we saw an increase in the net position, or really the health of the town, of just over $1 million. What we look at when we're looking at these numbers is really wanting to see how the town is growing, spending the money of taxpayers, as well as making sure the town is sustainable for the future. And from our analysis, seeing this growth in the health of the town, we're feeling very confident with that. Next page. Taking a look at the statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position, or really your income statement. What we want to really focus on is the changes from year to year. I like thinking year to year. I think it's a little bit easier than just thinking about 1 year. Overall, we saw an increase in our total revenues of just over or just under $200,000. A lot of that has to do with your rental gross receipts, where no one could have predicted how this year was going to look with that. But overall, a good year from that standpoint. Our expenses went from $5.3 million in 2021 to $6.4 million in 2022. That does include any changes in your pension plan. I'll actually get into a couple more details later, and actually about $1 million of that change has to do with your pension plan. We'll really talk about that. Again, we saw an increase in your net position or the health of just over $1.1 million. Next page. One of the items that we truly focus on are where the town is spending its money. I think sometimes a graph really says 1,000 words. So we went ahead and did really a pie chart to see where all the town's money is heading out. Public safety was at 32% of town funds. We saw drainage, street, sidewalk maintenance, and lighting at 20%, as well as our general and administrative at 26%. Overall, town services are 74% of the funds expended. And I think that that's a really good number to note, meaning the town is putting the taxpayer revenue back into services for the town rather than just continuing to hold on to it or just keep it to run the town. So I think that's a really good number to note. Next page, please. Taking a look at the general fund, again, this is going to be on our budgetary basis. So really, when you've been talking about the budget throughout the year, this is really on that basis. Those statements begin on page 16, just for reference. Overall, the general fund actually saw a decrease in its fund balance by $529,000. This is really due to the expenditure of town money on capital outlay. On your general fund, when you spend money on new assets or additional capital projects, it's actually considered an expense. So that's why we're seeing that decrease in net position, or the fund balance, excuse me. One of the really key things that the GFOA recommends with the general fund is to take a look at how much money is considered unassigned for those purposes. The recommendation is to have no less than 60 days, but preferably closer to 90 days in money within your unassigned fund balance. Your unassigned fund balance totaled just over $1.8 million. And of course, I did the calculation for what would be 60 days or 90 days. 60 days would be $927,000. 90 days would just be about 1.3 million. So really your 1.8 million in your unassigned fund balance is about 116 days of operating expenses. And what that shows is how the town could continue to operate if you were somehow not to bring in any money for the next 116 days. So I think you're looking at that and seeing where the health of the town is. I think that is a really good position for the town to be in. Our budget comparison schedule is on page 43 through 47. Some keynotes, the actual amounts were favorable in comparison to the budget by $318,000. This is really a combination of both revenues and expenditures. So number one, I mentioned the rental gross receipts being higher than had been expected. And in combination with that, grants were actually less than budgeted due to the timing of when those ARPA monies can be expended. And that really has to do with the federal regulations with that. Also, due to timing of some of the capital projects, just the timing of when expenses could occur, expenditures were also under budget for the year. Next page, please. I mentioned we were going to come back to talk about that pension. And really, I know we've probably talked about this every year, but I think it's really important to note. The town is implemented in the Delaware State Pension Plan, so the DPERS plan. So each of the town employees is able to contribute to that. It is not governed by the town, though. So if we're seeing a liability for the pension, the town just can't stroke a check and write the liability and then have no liability again. It is actually measured as of June 30th, 2021. So it's a full year, almost a full year behind from when the town's year end. So we took a look at this information as of June 30th, 2021, which is the latest audit available from the actuary as well. The required contribution was $199,000. And that is an increase of just over $20,000 from 2021. The town has consistently funded the required contributions as required, and that is truly important. This year, because of all the changes in investments, as well as some change in the actuary notes, the town actually has a pension asset of $1.5 million. If you remember back to June 30th, 2021, it was a much better investment environment than what we are at today. So I truly do expect that asset to take a swing in 2023. But again, nothing that the town can do in relation to that. It really has to do all with how the pension system is being managed. Now that we've taken, next page. Now that we've taken a look back, let's kind of take a look forward and see what's coming down the pipeline in relation to your accounting. Number one, there is a new accounting standard that will be implemented next year. This is our leases for GASB number 87. This is where any leased assets, so your typical operating leases, will be accounted for as a right of use asset, and then you would have an opposite right of use liability on your financial statements. This is completely counterintuitive to what we've all been used to for years and years. So it's a big change on financial statements, but I don't think it's going to have a big effect on the town, on the bottom line or anything. But as you're going through council meetings over the next year, if you suddenly decide, hey, we're going to rent this building or we're going to rent a car, something like that, just keep in mind that it'll actually be accounted for a little bit differently. Also implemented in 2023 will be statement number 97 that has to do with the 457 compensation plans. Again, don't think this is going to have a big effect on the town, but wanted to make you aware of it coming down the pipeline. And lastly, there is a newly released GASB in June, statement number 101 for accrued compensated absences. This is actually completely changing the way compensated absences or accrued vacation, accrued PTO, sick time, et cetera, are accounted for on the books of governments. So what they are also looking at, and they're still kind of clarifying the regulations, they're looking at what would happen if you had some comp time or other employee benefits in place of a compensated absences. So they're looking at each one of those items. So it could be a big change, but again, not implemented until 2025. Again, one more item looking forward. I heard in the earlier council comments about using the ARPA monies for some purchases. As we continue to spend those monies, we want to keep in mind that $750,000 threshold, which the town can be close to for 2023. It does trigger an additional audit in accordance
with the uniform guidance which governs federal spending. And this is based upon the timing of when you spend the money, not when you receive it. Now, let's go ahead and go over our auditor pages. If you look at the staple packet, if I was doing this is our auditor's communication, typically or potentially this packet could include 3 separate letters. The first one being to contain a letter that had any contributing deficiencies that were found during the audit, we just controlled. We did not find any of those, so that letter is not in the packet. And then it could also include a second letter, which is the managed letter, which is kind of just describing our best practices for operating efficiency. We also did not have any of those this year, I mean last year, which is really a testament to the town personnel for working hard throughout the year and during the audit. So this packet only includes the one letter, which has a lot of required language, including that we didn't have any difficulties during the audit, and then no disagreements with management. There's no non-compliance issues noted, and that we agree with all the estimates in the measurements. That's what we have today. Any questions? Does anybody have any questions?
For the Gatsby statement number 101, any idea of what they're trying to improve at this point? I know it's still evolving.
So the goal of all the latest guidance that have come out, starting with guidance 68 and the pension, moving forward to where we're at now, is really to take any potential liability that they can imagine and put it on your financials. So with, I saw one example for the compensated absences. Right now, we're only required to report compensated absences if it would be paid out at the time of someone leaving. So if someone leaves today, what they would get. However, they're looking at if there's time over and above that they wouldn't get paid for, but would use and cause the town to expend resources, if that should be allowed. We're really just trying to include every level.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it. Absolutely, thank you guys so much.
Well, thank you very much for this detailed audit. It's always nice to have come out ahead, and everything is fine, and we like hearing that, and thank you for the good work.
Absolutely, thank you so much.
At this point, we need to have a discussion, consideration, of possible voting on the audit results. Any further comments or questions from the town council?
Mr. Mayor, just one comment. This is the 7th audit I've been through, and they've all been perfect. So I mean, kudos to the finance department. Everybody that's in there, these audits have come back perfect. I'm sure it's kind of unusual to have 7 in a row come back. So kudos to everyone.
Yep.
May I say something? I just wanted to share, kind of tagging on with that. This is the 2nd year in a row that we have gotten the unmodified, which is, as Ashley stated, the highest that a local government can get. So even with the history that you have, council member, the last couple of years has been even in, whatever we're doing. Dawn, have to praise you for your leadership, all the other departments, Carol and Shawanda, and for being so responsive to our orders when they come in, so that they can do their job, and so we can get the feedback that we need to continue to run the town as financially stably as we can.
And Mr. Mayor, I'd like to give kudos to the Dawn and her department as well. It's not common that you see these types of audit reports from small towns. We've been fortunate and blessed, but with this current staff members we have here, it's just excellent to see, and gives a good confidence not only as us as council members, but for the public and the citizens to know the due diligence about the tax money that they put into the town. Thank you.
Thank you. At this point, I need a motion to accept the voting, to accept the audit results.
Motion to accept the audit results.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So passes. Thank you very much. At this point, we're gonna move on to the reports. First up is Dawn Parks with the financial report.
Thank you. Before I get started with the financial report, I do want to myself acknowledge our accountants, Shawanda Garrison and Carol Lebetz, for their dedication to the town day in and day out to put us in place to receive unmodified audits, but not only that, for 2 years in a row, no management letter. That's really not common. I've never seen in my 20-some years to not have a management letter. And for us to have it 2 years in a row, it really goes to show both of their dedications to their jobs and all the departments for getting everything in timely, coded correctly, and allowing us to move forward and keep this going. I truly appreciate them. Joy. So move on. If you guys want to go back to the office.
Back to the office.
We're really here. Get out when you can. To move on with the monthly financial update is as of August 31st, 2022. I'll try to be very brief. I just wanted to let you know that as of the end of August, we've collected 94% of our current year taxes. We only have 2 properties that have taxes outstanding from previous year. And for the 1% discount, we had 2,662 property owners take advantage of that 1% discount for a savings of over $26,000 for them. They're definitely using what was been put in place the last couple of years with giving this 1%. Hope we're able to move forward with that when we bring it up again. Moving on to our balances and our reserve and committed funds, our emergency reserve trust fund, we did just add the FY23 amount to that. So right now the reserve has $1,032,162. Our capital replacement trust fund has $1,104,448. The street repair and replacement trust has $4,110,662. Going into our American Rescue Plan Act, which is, the auditors did touch on this, where if we spend over the 750 in a given year, and this is a given calendar year, not a given audit year. We have a little over $914,000 in there right now. I have also put down there what we have spent to date of those fundings. Our emergency services enhancements funding program is based on 11 new home construction permits, has $1,052,070. Moving on to our transfer taxes. Of course, the transfer taxes at the time of doing my report were through July 31st. And brings us to a total of $369,223. This is made up of 13 new construction sales, 27 resales, and 5 land sales. We did receive our August sales, and August is transfer tax was $136,000. So that'll be reported on next month. Following my recap is the financial statement on pages 3 and 4, and the analytics on page 5 and 6. And if you have any questions on the financials, I'd be happy to answer them at this time.
Don, I have just one question.
Sure.
As a result of us giving the 1% discount, have we had significant drop in and drop in the people who have paid on time?
We are seeing a increase, and you know what, I had thought about looking at that. I'll take a look and see where we were 3 years ago when we didn't give a discount, at what percentage paid we were, but we have seen an increase on people coming in and paying early instead of waiting till August to pay.
or before penalties they're paying. We're getting them May, June, into May, beginning of June before tax bills are even received. We're starting to get payments now.
That's great.
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, public safety report by Chief Department.
Yes, good afternoon. Got a copy of the report in front of you. I'm just going to point out a couple of quick highlights. I'll start off with and we're going to talk, I think, about this later, the SRO program that we developed for Lord Baltimore Elementary School. That's a work in progress. And again, I think I'll wait, we'll discuss that more. But we have staff has put a lot of time working with the town manager, Councilman Cobb in particular, to develop that SRO program. I noted in here that I had submitted a grant for $32,235.14 to the state fund to combat violent crime. We actually had that meeting this afternoon, and the committee approved the grant in its entirety. So we're going to have $32,235 coming, Dawn, and that money will be used for another narcotics canine dog, some upgrades to ballistic vests, a laptop computer, and $10,000 will be set aside for overtime, primarily for drug investigations. As you know, we had a notable drug arrest last month. It was about a 2.5-month investigation that concluded with the seizure of $45,000 in cash, a large amount of heroin and fentanyl from a home right down the street here on West Avenue. There was an arrest made. Unfortunately, it could be a year or two before we go to trial because of the backlogs in the court system. But our team has gotten very good at conducting drug investigations. In particular, as you know, we have one of our officers is assigned full-time to the DEA task force, and we've developed a strong working relationship with the DEA, and it's really helped build up our abilities locally. It seems like as soon as we conclude one investigation, we've got another one starting. It's just the way it is. So kudos to staff, in particular, Detective Harrington, for that arrest. We've also had a lot of complaints this summer from residents on Central Avenue in regards to commercial truck traffic. We have addressed them. We've partnered with the state police truck enforcement team, and they came down a couple different times and worked an enforcement strategy here with us on Central Avenue, and that went very well. And we've also got some assistance from Ken. He's contacted DelDOT to get some increased signage for the truck drivers out on Route 1 to divert them from even coming down Fred Hudson and Central Avenue in the first place. The feedback I'm getting from the citizens that complained has been very positive. So I think we've addressed that issue appropriately. Cops and Goblins, we've got our flyer. I'm going to put a copy in front of everybody. That's going to be October 29th. I'll probably start advertising next week in Coastal Point, just to save the date type of advertisement. But it's going to be the 7th annual Cops and Goblins. We've got a great program plan. Captain Hall's done an excellent job putting this together again this year. And if the weather holds out, we expect our biggest crowd ever. So, and with that, I'll conclude my report and be happy to answer any questions.
I have one question. The grant that you just got, $32,000, said it was to support the addition of a new narcotics canine unit.
Yeah, we're gonna have a second dog. So we have one dog right now. As you know, that dog is narcotics certified and patrol certified. That dog is going to get replaced this year, this coming year. And I'm working on a separate grant for that. He's Hardy is the canine, and he's 9 years old now. And that's a little bit old for a canine. He's starting to show his age. And so we're gonna have to retire Hardy. We're gonna replace him, but I'm also gonna pick up a second dog. We specified with the kennel that that dog will be a golden retriever. It will be narcotics trained, but it's also gonna be trained as a therapy dog. And we're gonna be able to take it into the school, for example, and use that in a number of different ways as far as our community policing and outreach programs. The big thing is to be able to have a dog in the school. I envision it being like a mascot, if you will, for the department. And you know, the patrol dogs, because they do bike work, it's a huge liability for us to take those dogs out and have them interact with people and have people, you know, in close proximity to the dog. So we can't do that. We will be able to do that with the second dog. And then the goal would be that we have a drug canine available for both shifts. Currently with the one dog, you know, we have a dog there half the time. So the need is increasing. And I think for the foreseeable future, our big problem in Ocean View and in Sussex County is going to be drugs. In particular, fentanyl.
Have you identified the officer yet who will be the?
That's going to be Conor Watkins.
Any other questions for Chief?
Chief, there, just one question. Chief, I noticed Sergeant Bradshaw, I went to the resource officer training. Yes. Is he going to be the officer here? Yes, he's earmarked to go into the school. We're going to kind of play that by ear. It's a good break. Sergeant Bradshaw's been on the road working shift work, or working nights and weekends for 15 years. So it's going to be a nice break for him to have a consistent daytime schedule. Not sure what we're going to do, but at the very least, he's going to be in that assignment for a year. It might be something that we rotate people through that just to give him a break from the shift work. We'll see if there's interest from anybody else, but that's a requirement that we put in place was whoever has that assignment has to be specially trained. So he went through training with the National Association of School Resource Officers and their basic class, and then he's got an advanced class that we're actually going to host in Ocean View in January. It's good for him and his family. Yes.
Chief, not to put you on the spot, but we were recently talking, we had a management meeting about the speed trailer information.
Yes.
And I thought it was good information and I wrote down some notes.
Yep.
If you don't have it, but
Yeah, no, I've got it. So one of the things that we do is we have, I think 16, Russell, that we have 16 speed signs, 15 signs, fixed signs, and one portable sign out at all times. And then we're always gathering information. So the information we get back is how many vehicles are traveling on the roadway, how fast the vehicles are going. It's really great data. We share that data with Ken, and I think it's very useful to the town. But one of the things I looked at for July and August, Russ and I sat down and we started adding up just the total number of vehicles that were picked up by our signs. And the total number came out to be 1,040,783. And that does not include traffic on 26. Well, I think for maybe 1 week, we had the portable trailer out on 26, but for the most part, those signs are West Avenue, Central Avenue, Woodland Avenue, and then back in the subdivisions. Now, some of those are the same vehicle going in, vehicle coming out. It's getting counted twice. But it was a pretty high number. So we've already decided that we're going to look back and do a 1 year look back and see what we're coming up with as far as total numbers. And we're probably going to put the portable unit out on 26 a little bit more next year, maybe for a full month in the summer, just to capture some data, to get a better understanding of how many vehicles are coming through town. But it's quite a few. We were very surprised at that number. That was just 2 months.
You think the number of speeding vehicles will be reduced as a result of using the signs?
I think so. I think they're extremely effective. We look at every road that we have, we get the average speed, we get what we call the 85th percentile speed, and they're well within acceptable ranges. And we're very pleased. I think the signs have been extremely beneficial.
I just want to say, Chief is correct. We just completed the traffic study on a roadway that has a speed sign. And it does show that the device is effective.
I think we saw a decrease of 2
De-
miles an hour.
Decrease of 2 miles an hour. So those signs are very effective.
And that's over the previous study where there was a decrease.
Yes.
Any other questions for the chief? If not, we'll move to the planning, zoning and development report. Ken Zimino.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Roadside trimming will continue on October 25th. That'll be our last trimming event. Sidewalk repairs, our municipal maintenance contractor, George and Lynch, meeting with them tomorrow. And then we'll start some of the projects that we've budgeted for here in town that are not in our capital improvement program. FY23 street patching and paving was advertised for bid. This project will complete the resurfacing of October Glory Avenue and Bear Trap Dunes. Capital improvements, finally, I'm very pleased about this. The Hudson Avenue Pipe Culvert project design is completed and is finally out for bid. Bids are due next month and we hope to start construction in November. Across the street, the activity at 33 West Avenue has resumed. We're working to complete this project. Should be done before Cops and Goblins event. We had an informational meeting about the Country Villages, Country Estates project. 7 people from the community attended. We started design of the final segment of sidewalk improvements along Woodland Avenue. This segment's from Hudson Avenue and Hudson Avenue to it's actually talking about another job. Design of the final segment of Woodland Avenue between Hudson Avenue and actually that should say Daisy has begun. That's what threw me off. Century Engineering is providing the design services for this segment. And then we had a meeting today, the chief, myself, Councilman Cobb attended. I failed Councilman Twardzik with too many locations in my email invite. But we met with the residents of the preserves of Ocean View to discuss the Lord Baltimore Elementary School, the footbridge that we are constructing as an emergency exit from the school in the event of an incident where we need to get the kids and they can't go out Route 26. That meeting went very well today. I want to thank Chief and Councilman Cobb and Century Engineering for attending. We're going to wrap that design up and get it out for bid. Land use and development, we're working on code updates. Dan Ryan Builders will be at planning and zoning on the 15th this Thursday to review their concept plan. Code enforcement, the big thing in code enforcement is that in your packet, you'll see 3 violation notices to Convergence Investments of Jackson Hole, Wyoming. They're the developer of Ocean View Beach Club. The violations are for the violation of Ordinance 380, which mandated that the indoor pool facility would be constructed and open to the residents of the community by the 244th certificate of occupancy. That certificate of occupancy was issued November the 30th, 2021. We've been patient, working along with them, trying to prod them for almost a year now. And it's the time where we need to hand out violation notices. Violation of section 140-100 D16. That is a code requirement that says all wet ponds shall be aerated, specifically pond 6A, which was completed in early 2018. Has not been aerated, more dragging feet. So we issued violation notices and fines for that violation. And lastly, violation of 187-8A and B, which says that all publicly owned and maintained streets shall have streetlights. This is specific to the portion of Bristol Lane between Beach Club Avenue and Gooseberry Avenue to the town of Ocean View County line. This section of homes in the development was completed November the 30th, 2021. Rest of the code violations, permits, COs, business licenses. I do want to touch, because it's not very often that we actually get correspondence from folks complimenting staff. But we did receive 2 emails for Greg and Susie, and they're included in your packet. As you know, code enforcement is a job that most times you're not viewed favorably by people. And it's a tough job. You never get a pat on the back for that. That's all I have. If you have any questions.
Questions? Thank you. We'll move on to the town manager report.
Yes, thank you. The basketball courts are essentially open to the public as we speak. We have not put out our equipment yet, or we have everything in place, and we will be getting our equipment out for people to use in the near future. I did see several people using it last Friday during the concert. Since I was here, I put the equipment out so we can secure it afterwards. Just so you are aware, we will be handling it, the use of our equipment, by having people register to become a member of our Ocean View Bocce Ball Club. What that does is they would pay a small fee, and then out of town residents would pay a higher fee. And that would get them registered with us so that they would have access to the code to open up the box that has our equipment. Anybody that has their own equipment can use it as it's available. Everyone would have access on our website to the calendar so they could see reservations where it's been reserved. And also people who join the Ocean View Club also have the opportunity to reserve it themselves. The big thing about this is, since we are partnered with Special Olympics Delaware, and they do have priority for use, we will have gained through this membership of sorts, registration rather, the opportunity to communicate with those people and tell them when maintenance is occurring or when there's a tournament for Special Olympics. So it's not as easy as throwing the balls out. It could be that easy, but there's a concern for, of course, we don't want to have to keep replacing it. But it'll be a very quick little thing for people to do. But we'll gain their information and we'll be able to share information with them as we move forward with this new amenity in the park. We are hoping to have a ribbon cutting at the beginning of Cops and Goblins, although we're waiting for the telling communities to see if they can confirm to be there, since we do want them to be there with all the effort and the funds that they put forth. And with that, I have to do a shout out to Officer Carter for his working on all of the information that will be online for people to register, for people to make reservations and such. He couldn't have done without it. It's really a nice little program that we're fortunate to have that he created. So thank you for that. South Coastal Village volunteers, I attached the communications, related to them. After celebrating, believe it or not, their second year here in our building, so it's 2 years already. Which seemed crazy to me, but it's the truth. And, if you review that information, you'll see that they're making some very good impact in the community. DFID, our towns, the town's workers' compensation pool, program. I just want to advise you because we have received that dividend check for $24,069. And this is something that normally with insurance, things like this, you would not get it. It would be the entity that you're working with would retain these profits, but it's just, the benefit of our being able to be in this pool program with many other towns from the state. But I also can advise that our renewal went down by 8.5% due to favorable claims experience with all the member towns. And it does a lot of training and programs for all the staffs from various departments in all the towns that are members. And that is, definitely something that we're all benefiting from. I put in my report, the community events to finish out the year. We had a very successful first concert last Friday with Monkey Paw. They were very well received. And if I haven't shared with you, I will share with you that at the end, the lead singer called everybody out to come do a slow dance if they wanted to. Many couples in the park participated. And then he took off his guitar and said, I'm going to participate as well. Goes and takes the hand of his girlfriend, and shortly thereafter drops down on a knee and asked her to marry him. So the crowd just loved it. It was a lot of fun, and it's just very good. Just very good feeling in the park all over. And again, with also the South Coastal Village Volunteer event going on. So that occurred. This week is hot sauce on the 16th and overtime on the 23rd. So anybody, if you're thinking of asking anybody to be your special someone,
We're all taken.
you're all taken. Okay. Hops and Goblins, Chief already said 1 to 4 p.m. October 29th. Well, plans well underway, so it's going to be another great day. And we're hot and heavy into the planning of Old Town Holiday Market, which will be Saturday, Thanksgiving, Saturday, November 26th, from 1 to 5:30. And that's all I have. If you have any questions about that or anything else, I'd be happy to try to respond.
Any questions for the town manager? No? Thank you. The Millville Fire Department report. We have 2 reports, one for July and one for August, since we didn't have a meeting in August. In July, they had 283 total calls. Most of them were EM calls. Of those, only 56 were in the town of Ocean View. And in August, they had 305 calls. 255 of those were EM calls, and 44 were from the town of Ocean View. Any questions on those reports? Okay, we are now moving to citizens' privilege. People have a choice to ask questions, make a comment on anything that you might have read in the agenda. And at this point, I'm asking if anyone wants to make a statement. Yes, come to the podium, state your name and address.
I'm here today because two gentlemen here. Chief, because he takes care of my problem and I'm not here. Chief doesn't have a job. It's a personal relationship here. He beats me up all the time. The other one is because of my nature, I'm disabled vet from Vietnam. And I knew nothing about what the county was offering. Steve Cobb came to my house, Rich, I know you're disabled vet. Here's something I will show you. That was a good job. There's a piece of paper that tells you county tax no longer be needed. To see. Why that was coming. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
Mr. Mayor, real quick, Rich and Tim, their neighbors, are avid bocce ball people. Rich plays in Florida, and when they're up here, and Tim and Renee come down, they play bocce ball, obviously in the yard, and they'll be avid people using the courts. I'm glad to see we have our own equipment and things like that. And it's a good idea, we could use them as a good sounding board in the condition of the playing field, if you will, the maintenance to keep them really in good shape. Because bocce ball is much more popular than I thought. So.
Okay, thank you. Russ, do we have anybody on YouTube that wants to make a statement? Okay. We will then move to new business. We don't have any new ordinances, do we? No. Okay. Discussion, consideration, and possible voting on a recommendation to enact an agreement with the Indian River School District and to hire an additional police officer. That we're going to do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Mayor and Council, so a little bit of background, we've had some discussion about SRO, school resource officer has taken place already.
Excuse me. Could you go back there, somebody, and let them know that they're interrupting the meeting?
You just shut the door when we leave. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, and it's been previously discussed here at the table, and we've been working on it. So, what this recommendation before you, entails is, the creation of a SRO program at Lord Baltimore Elementary School in cooperation with Indian River School District. Chief McLaughlin and the officers of the department have long been involved at Lord Baltimore School in an unofficial, less formal capacity, doing a lot of things that school resource officers do. However, the time has come that we now would like to have this be a more formal relationship and a full-time relationship, such that one officer has been identified to serve as the town's SRO officer in Lord Baltimore Elementary School. With that said, Lord Baltimore School District, Indian River School District, sorry, has an agreement that they have shared with us, and they have advised that they would be inclined for pending a final vote of the board to support that effort at minimum $40,000 a year to be renewed annually. The chief has put together a program that was submitted to the school district for the different programs that we would offer, as well as the engagement, the daily engagement of a police officer. So what we are recommending is Mayor and Council authorize me to enter into an agreement with Indian River School District for this school year to place one Ocean View police officer full-time in the school with support from no less than $40,000 from Indian River School District. Any questions? Anything I didn't cover in that overview, would be happy to respond.
We know when we will get a definite result from them in terms of their financing.
They have a meeting September 25th. And we expect that they would go, they would of course have the information from this meeting if you're so inclined to give direction.
Any other questions? Comments?
Just one comment. Are we covering the school now?
Yeah, we have been for 21 years.
Yeah, so we're doing.
So we're doing it, the demands grow annually. We essentially had a full-time presence there, the last few years, in particular last year. Albeit it wasn't one, designated officer. So the changes here is a more formalized program, one officer that's specifically trained and assigned to the school. But it's something that we've done, as long as I've been here. So the demands are growing and we're pulling officers off the street to go in there to handle, the incidents at the school. And it's leaving a void out on the street, so, every once in a while, it's not a problem that the need keeps growing, so, I think it's probably past due, for assigning somebody full-time to that position.
There's a second portion of this recommendation that I'm sure you've read. And that is, it's also recommended that mayor and council authorize the addition of one sworn police officer to the Ocean View Police Department, which would bring the total uniformed officer count to 14. This would be a backfill of the SRO.
Mr. Mayor, if I may comment for a moment. I think that date is the 25th of September. With the school board, someone has a calendar, they could check. A lot of work has been done into this. As you know, today we met with another community with the bridge. I think that the council decision to increase the officer limit would be in the benefit of not only the children in the school, but overall for the safety and security of all the residents of the town. I've been very, very honored and impressed with the work. It's that really fingers out from all of this, the people involved, to up in the school boards down into the communities here, the chief and other people. And I think it's time that we support it 100%, and that officer during the summer will be used on regular patrol, which is when we most need it. The community is going to have to increase our department anyway, just by the pure nature of our growth and annexation. It's nice to have an officer designated to the school to support the other officer that is there provided from the school board. So as you know, I'm fully support adding this additional officer.
Thank you. I'm wondering if we are voting on this a little early, since we don't have a definite decision from any of the school district. I think we're all believing that we are going to have their support. We have, the superintendent has hinted that he believes that the school board will give us that support. But what if we don't get the financial backing of the school district on the date that we're thinking of?
Well, that will be mayor and council's choice if we don't get the answer. However, you could make you could vote such that we can amend the direction to me to come back to you if I would get anything that differs from the 40,000.
Mr. Mayor, I've thought about that at length as well. If they would, for some reason, say no, and that would be painful. Okay, but that does not solve the issue over at the school in the safety and security. So I do not think that we should add this offer with this officer with any preconditions. It's going to be needed anyways. And we just went through a wonderful audit, and this town can surely absorb the additional officer that would be so much needed. I do not think there should be any preconditions on a positive vote from the Indian River School Board which would delay the vote today.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Mayor, I'll add one other thing that maybe complicates things a little bit too. We're on a little bit of a timeline as far as the replacement officer. So we were given the green light by council previously to proceed with an application process. We provided an applicant with a conditional offer of employment. The police academy is scheduled to begin on October 9th. I have until September 26th to to issue a final offer of employment and turn in his necessary paperwork at the police academy for him to be enrolled in the police academy. So I'm in a little bit of a bind there. If we delay that, then, and he misses the academy, then we would not be backfilling that position until this spring with graduation sometime this time next year. Spring academy with, late summer, early fall graduation. So that, and the other thing, it's not really public yet, but there's a very, about 99% possibility that we're going to be losing an officer here very soon, within the next few weeks. So that would put us, even though we hired an officer, we're going to lose an officer. So that keeps us back at the 13 as far as the staffing level. So it's something else to consider. I would have to get approval again from the council to replace that position. And if we decided not to do that, then we'd be right back in 13 as well.
Thank you.
I found online, the next school board meeting is September 26th, 7 p.m.
6. Okay.
That's what I'm saying, at least from what I found it.
Yep.
I can confirm that. I can tell you that from my communication with, the superintendent Owens, and the emails that he sent, of course, that's not a signed agreement or a vote of the board, that there seems to be a high level of support, appreciation for our willingness to take this on. At least the 40,000 for this school year. I'd be very surprised if it changed and disappointed. But again, to the best of our ability, one of us has to go first. One of us has to prove it first. So.
Well, I think, this is a worthwhile endeavor, and I totally agree with the resource officer and replacing or getting another officer. I'm just thinking about a worst case scenario. Have we in our budget process determined that we could handle this if we don't get the $40,000 from the school district?
Yes, as I think Mayor and Council, if you look to what we provided the financial impact. And we have determined that for this school year that we would be able to absorb the funding. We've also using the same 40,000 for FY24, the budget year that will start in the new year. We've determined what the cost would be for that, assuming different cost of living and family coverage for, depending, we assume the most someone could get. And that would be something that we would consider when we do budget. So it'll be, I don't know sitting here today, what all of our needs will be when the budget process starts with all the departments, but right now I feel pretty confident. But again, I really can't confirm past FY23 with being able to finish the school year.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions?
If not, then I need a motion. To authorize the town manager to enter into an agreement with the Indian River School District to implement the SRO program at Lord Baltimore Elementary School. And a recommendation that we authorize one sworn police officer to the Ocean View Police Department, bringing the total uniform officer count to 14.
Mr. Mayor, are they two different motions or all in one?
You want him,
Why don't you
One
go
of-
to two? I think
two-
two makes sense.
okay. Then the first one.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we enter into agreement with the Indian River School District in reference to the SRO officer and the rate of pay at a minimum that Carol has set forth here today.
Your second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All approved 5-0. I also need a motion for the second.
Mr. Mayor, I'm gonna
Authorize
step,
one
yeah,
police officer.
I'm gonna step right in here again, and excuse me, with a motion to increase the capacity of our police force up to 14 police officers.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
The last
you.
item is discussion, consideration, possible voting on a Dunes Pink Classic proclamation. This is something that we've done over the last few years for the town, for the community of Bear Trap Dunes when they do their Pink Classic. Do I need to read this for proclamation? If everyone has read it, then I need a motion to accept it.
Motion to recognize the Dunes Pink Classic for 2022.
Wait a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So passes. We then move to the last citizen's privilege. Is there anything that anyone wants to say that they haven't said before?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'm not a citizen, but I want to ask the town manager if we want to make a note before we close this meeting, that we will no longer be monitoring emails on the comment at oceanviewdelaware.com. So for all future meetings, if you wish to make a comment or to participate in the meeting, you will need to attend the public hearing. Or public meeting.
Thank you. Any other comments before we ask for a motion to adjourn? And I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Wait a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So adjourned. Thank you very much.